Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we're gonna be carrying on our series. And in the last episode, if you guys remember, we have successfully completed our object selection here. And what we're gonna be doing for the episode of today is that we're just gonna do some cleanup before we can actually move on. And we're gonna just change a couple of things in here just to make the code a little bit cleaner. So to start this, we're gonna go to our player folder here. And I'm gonna open up my player here. They open up on my other window. Let me just write it here. Alright, so what I wanna do here first is I wanna make sure that our you see that we at the moment our mouse disappears once we click on this. I wanna make sure our mouse is always available. So what we are gonna do here, we're gonna go back to our player the player mouse drag selection here. I'm just gonna uncomment this for now and let's see if that actually will work. So the mouse is hidden anyway, so what I'm gonna do here is right now this is only hiding or showing the cursor. What I think we could do here, and for now I'm just gonna make sure that we also put an option in here that we want to show the cursor, because I know that those methods they kind of doing the same thing, but maybe in the future we need to do something specific. Like, let's say when you start a selection you want to hide all the selections, all the UIs, and yeah, so we hide here, and let's go back to that. Let's just save. Right, so if I press play, I don't know what happened to the UI here, it's got weird. Right. Now, what I want to do here is for both scenarios, I want to make sure I want to display the mouse, right? If I press play, the mouse is always visible, because on RTSs, you know, any Age of Empires, any of those, the big one, we just have the mouse always showing up here. Right, so that's done. This is completed. Let me just align those nodes, and cool. Now, the next thing we are going to do here is, of course, we also need to create a proper input to do this, because this is not the right way of doing that. But the next thing I want to do here is that, you know that we have event tick that we move the sphere. That's fine. We can still keep this, because I'm probably gonna use this event tick here to you know, spawn parts or buildings, or like, you know, when you drag and drop something from the menu into the word, we want to make sure that part spawn in the right place, so we're probably going to use that. That's alright. I am just going to disable this for now, because I don't want my thing here to be interacting with those. I just want to be able to select, and by doing a proper, you know, selection, right click and do all sorts of stuff. Right, so the next thing that we're gonna do here is that we are gonna change, so the settings in here, I'm gonna just create another graph, and we're gonna call this player settings, right? And I'm gonna go back to the event graph. I'm gonna select all this. I'm gonna press Ctrl X, and I'm gonna go to player settings and do Ctrl V, right? And that's all I did here. And this is basically is gonna allow me to organize this in a better way. So let's just put this blue, whatever. Cool, that's alright. Now the next thing that we're gonna do here, back on our event graph, is let me just leave this one here for now. Oh, that's too big, that's fine. Right, so we have our zoom in and our zoom out, right? Next thing I wanna do here is I'm going to create a new event graph, and I am going to call this inputs, right? And what I'm going to do here is, let me close all this stuff. I'm going to get those here. I'm going to press Ctrl X and Ctrl V here, and those are all the inputs. So I'm just going to comment and say manage, zoom in and out inputs, right? And this is going to be, let's put 60, just so it's very clear what we're trying to do. Let's just give a normal color, whatever. And that's aligned. compile and save. There we go. Now the next thing here that we gotta do here, we need to clean this up. I'm gonna create another event graph, and I'm gonna call this camera control, right? And in here I am gonna just once again select all this, Control X, paste here, and that's pretty much everything we're trying to do. This is gonna be 60 and handle the camera zoom, and let's just make sure put like a red color here or something. Right, so in this way we know it's just a little bit more organized and it's easy to follow what it's trying to do. Next thing I want to do here is go back to the event graph. We see that we have our camera inputs here. Same thing, I'm gonna copy that, Control X, go back, and I'm gonna paste it by here. Right, I'm gonna put a camera input, camera movement input, and I'm gonna compile and save this. Let's just play to see if it still works. Yep, that's still working, which is great. Now, the next thing we are going to do here is the same for, well, we don't need jump. We can probably leave the jump here. We don't want to really I mean, maybe we could do something with this, but for now, we're just going to leave the player jumping for now, but we're probably not going to need this. I'm going to create a new one, which is going to be the RTS control, right? And I'm gonna remove this, go back here, copy this, and just paste it in here. Compile and save. RTS movement control. If you want to rename, just press rename or F2, right? And I think that is looking a little bit more cleaner for us. Now what we are going to do here is make things a little bit even cleaner, right? So let's just use some let's hide this a little bit more, right? So what I like to do here is I like to put each individual block here into their own node or graph, just so it's easy for us to follow. Because for example right now, okay, what does the player mouse drag selection does? You know, like we know this handles that. We have player settings, we know that this loads the player settings, and then we have inputs, this will only handle inputs. And also there's one thing here that I forgot on our, let me just close that, on our RTS movement here. We probably should create here. And this is where you know, things get, it could be tricky or not, but let's just make this into their own events. So in the future, so then we can just call these in one place, right? So let's just create here. This is let me just double check, where does this run? So if I print, press play, this runs here. If I run on server side, that runs on the server. If I run, oh, that's the wrong one. If I run this on as a client, let's check here. It runs on the client. All right. And already we could see a problem coming up, but we can handle that in a sec. Right. So that runs on the client. So I'm just gonna leave it as standalone for now. And then after we're gonna figure out those issues in here. Right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create here a custom event, and I'm gonna call this API add movement, right? And then what I'm gonna do here, you see that we have add input movement, and they all kind of using the same source here. So I'm just gonna abstract that, copy this, and I'm gonna put this to add a movement to left and right. And as you can see, we have this scalar value here, so we're just gonna plug this guy here, that. Okay. Now the next one, we also have the input movement. This is to go forward and back, which is pretty much the same thing here. But we're gonna just change this first parameter, and this first parameter here is going to be movement X, and we're gonna create another one which is going to be movement Y, right? And it's gonna be a float. I'm gonna copy this stuff and paste it right there. Cool. And I'm gonna plug this right here and put it right there. Cool. Now we got the same thing that we have above, but just inside a method here. Now all we need to do here literally is we can delete this stuff here. We don't need it anymore. I'm just gonna plug this here again, and cool. And this is, again, it's just something that I like to do so we keep the input system only in one place. I'm gonna paste the input here. Now we just need to call the API add movement. Now if I just press play, I'm not gonna be able to move the character. I am able to move the camera but not the character. But now I can just call this plug X and Y, press play, and everything should be working exactly the way it was before, which is really cool. Now let's just give this a comment and say, handle the character movement, right? And I think we can just 60. It's maybe too much, but actually the player movement, because we're not moving any character right now, just the player. Okay. Now we got this done. Movement is done. In the future we can change these, do whatever we want. Now back to our event graph. Let's just do some cleanup on this because it's very messy at the moment. So one thing here that I like to do is, well, for this one, like when it's a single one like this, we're just gonna add a comment basically saying that change the default position on start, right? So we know what this is trying to do. That's fine. Now this is something different. So what we're doing here is that we get the player controller and the RTS component ref. Right, now what we can do here, and this is just organization tip, so if you select all this, right click, you can collapse to you can collapse nodes, right? This will basically create another node inside here, collapse graph. And what you can call this collapse graph is something like, I don't know, handle the controller and RTS component. You can give a better description on the description box. We can change the color of the instance, and we can actually do the same thing for those in here, right? Now what we can do here, then we can right click, can collapse the nodes, and we can call this guy here handle the mouse drag selection, right? And we just gonna plug all this stuff like here, put it green, and as you can see, our code is a little bit more readable right now. Now jump, not sure if we need the jump, but and also this thing here, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it for now, but at the moment we can just leave it here because we're probably gonna use that sphere to spawn something. And let's make sure our code is working properly, right? So right now everything is the same. We can select it. We have the events triggering, and that's pretty much, guys. I think that's everything good. So if you want to edit anything here, you can just double click, or you can just go to your event graph, and double click here. They'll basically do the same here. And then here you can do all sorts of, you know, fixing the way the things work, and you can add the comments and all that stuff. Yeah, I think we got everything that we're looking here quite good, to be honest. And what we're gonna do here now is that in the next video we are gonna basically create a widget that will have some information about the actor. So let's say when we have only one actor selected or more, I'm not sure yet how we're gonna do that. We're gonna just display like a little panel here with the actor information, things like health or name, or, you know, very specific things about it. And yeah, and then from that we can actually do maybe a simple AI that we can just select the guy, right click anywhere, and then it just walks. So yeah, once again guys, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one.